All right, we got to talk about Marvel Spider-Man 2 New Game Plus once again because it's been 3 months. Okay, it's been 3 months since release of Marvel Spider-Man 2, and we are all eagerly awaiting the release of this very important update, right? Like, this is meant to be something that was in the game from the start. Like, let's all be real. However, there's been quite a few things that have happened with Insomniac Games that we really got to talk about. So, the craziest thing, like I've said, is it's been 3 months since the release of Marvel Spider-Man 2 because the game released on October 20th, 2023, which is actually crazy to think about considering how long we've actually waited. So, let's talk about some things. So, on Twitter or on X, whatever you want to call it, Insomniac Games has been pretty active in terms of responding to the community at large, okay? From the screenshot you can see on the screen right now, PlayStation Game side said, okay, but what about New Game Plus? And Insomniac Games said, our team is still working on it. We'll be delighted to share more news as soon as we can. So it seems that they're still working incredibly hard. So that is something you don't need to worry about at all because, they're cooking, right? Like, they're cooking, of course. And then you got to remember that they've been hacked, which is, it's not like it's a small thing that happened, like a little tiny hack or whatever. The scale of this type of hack, this type of attack, is unprecedented because everything was compromised. So things from their future plans for games, like the roadmap for like years from now, employee information. It's been absolutely devastating to the entire team, to the entire studio, and who knows the amount of damage that's been done. So they're still trying to recover from that. There's so much going on in the background that we don't know about. So I think we can cut them a little bit of slack when it comes to that, because like I couldn't even imagine dealing with something like this. It is absolutely, insane the type of breach that this would be, right? So then we have another screenshot here. It's just the community being impatient. It's completely understandable. Jay Wants to Battle said, me every time I see a post that's not New Game Plus related. And then, Insomniac Games responded by saying, I understand where you're coming from, but we'll have more to share about that soon. Our schedule had to shift around a bit due to recent events, which again is the whole hack thing, which is absolutely awful. I don't wish that upon anybody. But all this talk of New Game Plus has left all of us hungry, right? And particularly myself. And, thanks to today's sponsor, if I can get this out, hold on, give me a second. Thanks to today's sponsor, you don't have to be hungry either. Thank you for today's sponsor, Tokyo Treat. Bite into Japan right from your own home with monthly snack boxes delivered right to your door. This month's theme is Love with Be My Valentine. Inside, we have cute pink and red themed foods like strawberry Kit Kats, Pokemon Heart Candy, and many more. And don't worry, there's also something for the savory lovers too, with chips and obligatory ramen, as well as my new favorite fruit juice. Make sure to get your own box using the link below and in the pinned comment and get some snacks into you. These Kit Kats are the best ones I've had in my entire life, and I'm not just saying that because of the sponsor. It is genuinely so good, man. I can't believe it. I had a few of these in a row, man, and these chips, after all the sweet snacks, were just hitting so good. Be sure to hurry quick in time to get the February box. Thank you to Tokyo Treat for sponsoring this video. Yeah, I've been trying to work a bit better on integrations, but anyways, let's continue talking about what's the main thing, okay? So, there's other things I want to talk about that comes to, mind with this game. Now, a lot of us have started to notice that there's been quite a few things that have been buggy in the game that they're more than likely working on as we speak in terms of fixing. You've had this spider cube glitch for the longest time, right? Like, that kept popping up and popping up. They've been patching it and it just kept happening, right? There's some bugs on the suits because when they create these suits from Marvel Spider-Man 1 into Marvel Spider-Man 2, they actually have to completely recreate them from the ground up because Marvel Spider-Man 2 is a whole new level in terms of quality. So previous, like, you can't just import a suit and call it a day because that quality difference would be, known. So here on Reddit, This person posted saying, anyone else annoyed at how inaccurate and bugged the Stark suit is in Spider-Man 2? The webbing's red and not black in Spider-Man 2, so it's barely noticeable. The lenses also seem to be bugged out as well. I really like the suit, but these issues just make it look bad. Hope they fix it for when New Game Plus comes out within the next few years. Look, they said New Game Plus will be out early 2024. So early 2024, when we talk about that specific time frame, that is, we talk about in quarters. So a year has 4 quarters, right? You've got, quarter 1, which is early 2024, which is from January to March. So it could happen anytime now until March, unless it's even more delayed, which would be quite unfortunate. But again, we don't know what's exactly going on behind the scenes. And yes, the suits are bugged. There's quite a few bugs with this game. And I think that is just mainly not because of employee crunch. Don't get me wrong, Insomniac's been pretty good with that, but you got to remember they've been cranking out games like crazy. Like within the last 5 years or so, we've got Marvel Spider-Man on the PS4. We've got the remaster. We've got Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. We've got Ratchet and Clank on Rift Apart. We've got Marvel Spider-Man 2. That is so much for one studio to do. Obviously, some cracks will show and appear. That is just the reality of things. That's just kind of how it all works in the game industry, Let's continue on. However, talking about the whole crunch thing, there's another post here that says, does anyone else think they forced devs into crunch for Spider-Man 2? So many of the suit issues and nitpicks and too scream of corporate interference, product placement, the bugs, the missing features, the sloppy suit models, story pacing, the cut content. Now, the cut content I completely understand, because there was like so much cool stuff that could have happened. Like Miles was going to have the symbiote. There was like 90% of Venom lines being cut, which I don't really understand why that's the case, unless they're saving it for the standalone Venom game. That's probably going to happen. I'm not sure. But, this post also says this is all the hallmarks of a game being forced out the door by the publisher to meet some arbitrary deadline. And I think that's what complaints and criticism really needs to focus on, letting Sony and Insomniac know we'd rather wait a little bit longer if it means the devs can provide a polished experience, that we aren't blaming the devs for stuff being sloppy, we're blaming the bosses for not giving them time. That is fair. I do think that it was a bit rushed because the demand of the fans and, well, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the fans are at fault, because we're not, but it was just like so much hype and there was so much anticipation, and the game seemed ready, right? So the game, for me, didn't disappoint. The gameplay was amazing, the story was too, but it definitely feels rushed, or at least like it feels like a big chunk of the game is missing, right? Like I think the game would have benefited from being a few more hours longer, maybe 4 or 5 hours, just for the whole symbiote storyline to really set in. But again, there's nothing too much that we can do about that. Then, there's a comment on this very same post that says, I personally think it's more likely that the heads of Insomniac would have forced crunch time to get as much done as possible for the deadline, or they decided to cut back content to avoid as much crunching as possible like they did for the first game. And I think the second half is the more accurate thing here. They probably decided to cut some stuff back to avoid crunching, because they've been very vocal about, not overworking their employees and things like that. So I assume that's probably the case. We don't 100% know what is going on behind the scenes when it comes to this, but it is such a shame that we have nothing just yet. However, they're working very, very hard when it comes to this, update, because it's not just New Game Plus. They're probably going to be doing bug fixes, maybe potential DLC. We know that there's at least 4 suits being worked on currently that are being made in collaboration with Kid Super and some very famous, influencers, you could say. There's just quite a few things going on, so I'm hoping that whatever it is that they'll deliver, because they always have, in the past, they've treated us so well when it comes to Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, with the free suit drops and things like that. The DLC season was quite interesting. I think we got a new DLC, I don't know if it was weekly or monthly, I can't remember exactly, but the City That Never Sleeps DLC, they dropped it pretty damn well, and it had some fun storylines. I didn't really enjoy the whole Hammerhead thing, but it wasn't bad at all when it comes to it being dropped and all the free content that came with it. So I'm hoping to see some content maybe around Carnage, so we can wrap up the whole symbiote thing before we get to Marvel Spider-Man 3, or maybe Venom game will deal with Null. I mean, there's so much stuff that could quite potentially happen. But I know like everybody's just super excited for New Game Plus, as I am as well. So we'll see what happens. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep updated for, you know, New Game Plus news, anything like that. I'll be the first one to post about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Watch another video here on the screen. Take care of yourself. Much love. Peace.